Yeah, and now we are happy to welcome Priscila Pacheco. She's a reporter of Outriders and is joining us from Brazil today. And Priscila will share with us the story behind the solutions journalism multimedia comic Favela versus COVID-19. Welcome, Priscila. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you see? Can you
Yes.
listen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, hello. I'm so happy to be attending the conference. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invite. Well, I'm Priscila Pacheco, a Brazilian journalist based in São Paulo. I'll talk about the store that unites comics and solutions journalism, a journalistic practice with rigorous coverage based on response to social problems, like David talked now. Well, the store is called Favela and COVID-19. It's about grassroots initiatives that were launched by the residents of 3 favelas in São Paulo to face the problems caused or exacerbated by the pandemic. The favelas are Paraisópolis, and Paraisópolis, the people train community leaders. Heliópolis, the community leaders use doctors in cars with megaphones and radio show to talk with the people about health. And Brasilândia uses music, uses art, hip hop and country music, graffiti, artists to talk with the people about the pandemic, about the dangers. Well, this job I produced these stores as a freelance journalist last year for the Polish website Outriders, and I think yesterday maybe Lola Garcia talked here too. Outriders is a non-profit newsroom covering global research, having local impact, and seek answers to problems, fears, and needs. It explains things which happen far but influence your daily life. Well, for this project, we worked with people in different countries. I and the comic artists in Brazil, the coordinator Lola Garcia in Spain, and the web designer, web developer in Poland. With this team in different countries, in different places, to have good communication, we used Zoom and Google Meet to hold meetings, Slack for daily messages, Google Drive to share files, work very well. Well, how did I discover the stories about these favelas during the pandemic? Last year, Outriders launched Radar. Radar is a website that shows responses and solutions to COVID effects. And I was the freelance journalist responsible for researching what was being done in Latin American countries. I have completed more than 250 initiatives from Mexico to Uruguay. And among these initiatives were the stores of São Paulo. So Outriders interested in producing a store with more resources. I was invited to tell these stories because in addition to my experience with solution journalism and getting to know the outskirts of São Paulo, I had already produced comics. I don't draw, but I work in partnership with comic artists. I produce the scripts, for example. And why solutions journalism? Why it is important to tell what was happening in the favelas? Well, because actions were being implemented there that could be replicated in other regions, including outside Brazil, like case monitoring, isolation of patients, communication campaigns about what the disease is and how it spreads, prevention, social assistance for the unemployed, actions that can be replicated by other community leaders in Brazil or in other places, but mainly by the governments who have more power and money. These actions uh, can be replicated. So here we have solution journalists in these stores. The protagonists of the stores are the solution, but we have the problems. We don't hide the problems, and we don't hide limitations of initiatives. We show the limitations, we show the problems, but we details the solutions. Now about the production. Well, why comics? Outriders is a newsroom that invests in storytelling, and the comic book is an interactive and useful format to talking about real talks like a pandemic. And the comic stores have the challenge of saying a lot in a little text. Text and drums cannot be repetitive. You need to think about this every time. What were the steps for this work? What I suggest for you. If you would like to produce comics with journalism, solution journalism, or other kinds. Well, the first step to produce these stores was research. I found more information about the initiatives. I studied the territories, for example, how and when the territory was occupied, how the situation of this territory today, because I need to know the territory well to introduce it to people who have never been to a Brazilian favela. And I need to present it without prejudices and without stereotypes. Also, I research data about the pandemic, research the economic situation at the time, how was the first population suffering from unemployment and food shortages. I need to understand this to show in my story. The second step was the interviews. The comic artist Alexandre de Maio and I went to Paraisópolis, the first favela that I showed, to talk with the community leaders and some residents. We took pictures too, but because of pandemic, it wasn't possible to go there to other favelas. So most interviews were by phone. Well, maybe there is a problem when we can't to go for the to territory, because when we're not in the territory, how do we solve the problems of lack of images? To produce comics, we need detailed references. Well, to solve this problem, I asked the interviewers to send portraits, send photos of their home, thoughts about the actions, thoughts of family members, send videos about the actions too. And you know which image you need to ask for based on what the person says during the interview. After, if I have time, I will show some examples of pictures that I received for WhatsApp, email, and researched on social media with authorization. Well, the next step is to produce the scripts with the speeds and image suggestions. Then the comic artist drafts the drawings. Finally, the script is sent to be evaluated. After approval, the comic artist drafts. We review all the material and it's sent to be translated and assembled into the system, into the website. We started producing this story in late July and published it in late October. This project was carried out with the support of the Solution Journalism Network. Now I would like to share some tips. If you would like to produce solution journalism, if you are interested in start to produce, as well attend workshops, it's very good. Read solution stores. There are good examples in Outriders. In Outriders, there are other stores about solution journalism. The Guardian has a page dedicated to solution journalism. If you read Spanish, I recommend it Redacción from Argentina. It's very interesting. If there is someone here that speaks Portuguese, in Portuguese there is ECOA by UOL from Brazil. Besides, on the Solutions Network website, there is a curatorship of solutions journalism store around the world. I think David talked about this page. Now about comic journalism. I recommend that you participate of workshops too. And remember an important thing. You can't know how to draw, like me, but you need to understand the production to work well in partnership with the comic artists. Besides workshop, I recommend that you read a lot of comic stores. I have some examples. I think it is good read a lot because you can evaluate the difference of styles, the combination of speeds and drowns. A good example is Joyce Sacco. Joyce Sacco is an important name in comic journalism. Problem with I will finish my screen here a moment. I think it's very. Joyce Sacco is good. Reads Joyce Sacco. There is in English. And Joyce Sacco has many books. Art Spiegelman, it's a good example. This book, it's very famous too. Oh, I think now it's better because it's there is in English and French and Portuguese. This the photographer. It's about Afghanistan, and a good example of combination between comics and pictures. I think it's bad to see, but Other references, this book, The Climate Change, by Felipe Squarzoni. There is in English. It's very, very interesting too. From Latin America, a good example, it's Sendero Luminoso. It's a production from, it's a Peruvian production. From Brazil, if there are someone here that speak Portuguese or lives in Brazil, I have an example. The name is Notas de Tempo Silenciado. It's a comic is about dictatorship in Brazil. Other example is this book, Raul, that's produced by Alexandre de Maio, that work with me to production these comics about favelas. Finally, this is my first comics that I produced with Alexandre de Maio about female football, play soccer. It's good have reference to understand how work with this. Well, I have 2 minutes. I will show the pictures about the favelas and COVID in 1 minute. A moment. Let me see. I will share my screen again. I think it's possible to know. Well, here, for example, this picture. I didn't be in this place in this moment, but the people sent for me the picture, and it's very important because the artist comic needs to see pictures, to see image, to draw, needs to have references. Here too, these pictures sent for me. Brazilândia sends pictures too. Well, I think my time finished. Well, I thank the European Journalist Center for the invitation to participate in this event. Now we have questions.
Hi, Priscila, thank you very much for this amazing presentation. And I think the message for the community is don't be shy and think big, because it's always possible to use different formats to tell stories. It takes time. And of course, it requires collaboration, requires a lot of elements. Sadly, we don't have time for questions now, but thank you very much. Well, I invite you to join the YouTube streaming, Priscila, so you can answer the questions directly in YouTube. And now I think, thank you, Priscila.
Thank you.
Labdien, buenos dias, bos dias.
Hi, hello.
This is the European Journalism Center.
Since 1992,
we've been helping journalists all over Europe.
Now we ask for your support.
Join the European Journalism Collective.
And with a small donation, you can help us remain independent and sustainable.
So we can continue supporting journalists just like you.
And do even more.
And do even more. And do even more.